In our journey through the scripture, we find ourselves today at Revelation chapter 12, verses 13 through 17, a passage rich with imagery and meaning, crucial for understanding God's plan for the world and His people. This text provides us with profound insights into spiritual warfare, divine protection, and the unwavering purpose of God amidst tumultuous times. The passage reads, "Now when the dragon saw that he had been cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child. But the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the presence of the serpent. So the serpent spewed water out of his mouth like a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away by the flood. But the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to make war with the rest of her offspring, who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ." At the heart of this narrative is the dragon, a symbol of Satan's relentless opposition to God's purposes and His people. Cast down to the earth, his defeat does not quell his fury. Instead, it intensifies his persecution against the woman, representing God's covenant people. This relentless pursuit by the adversary illustrates the ongoing spiritual conflict that has pervaded human history since the fall of man. The imagery of the woman being given 2 wings of a great eagle is a testament to God's provision and protection for His people. This echoes the Old Testament, where God describes carrying Israel on eagle's wings out of Egypt and into safety, Exodus 19 verse 4. The wilderness becomes a place not of desolation, but of divine sustenance, where God's people are kept safe from the serpent's reach. This period, described as a time and times and half a time, symbolizes a determined, though limited period of trial and protection, emphasizing God's sovereign control over the length and intensity of our trials. The serpent's strategy evolves as he attempts to destroy the woman by spewing water like a flood, a metaphor for overwhelming persecution aimed at wiping out God's people. Yet, the earth itself intervenes, swallowing the flood, an act illustrating how God can use even creation to thwart the plans of the wicked. This intervention highlights the futility of the adversary's efforts against God's providential care. The dragon's frustration culminates in a broader war against the rest of her offspring, signifying all who align themselves with God's purposes, who obey His commandments, and bear the testimony of Jesus Christ. This widens the scope of the narrative to include all believers, emphasizing the universal struggle between good and evil and the personal stake each believer has in this spiritual battle. What then can we draw from this vivid depiction of spiritual warfare and divine preservation? First, it serves as a reminder of the reality of spiritual conflict. Our adversary is real, his intentions nefarious, and his methods relentless. However, this is not a cause for fear, but for faith, for the same passage that outlines the dragon's assault also assures us of God's prevailing protection and ultimate victory. Second, the provision of the 2 wings to the woman reminds us that God equips His people with what they need to endure trials. Like the Israelites in the wilderness, we too are sustained by God's hand, often in ways that defy human expectation or explanation. Our wilderness experiences, though challenging, are never beyond His control or outside His care. Lastly, the war on the rest of her offspring is a clarion call to steadfastness in faith and testimony. In a world increasingly hostile to the values of the kingdom, holding fast to the commandments of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ is both our defense and our mission. This passage invites us to participate in the triumph of good over evil, assured by the knowledge that our efforts are undergirded by the Almighty. In wrapping up our reflection on Revelation chapter 12, verses 13 through 17, we find ourselves not merely analyzing an ancient text or a distant prophetic vision. This passage unfolds as a vivid depiction of the ongoing struggle between the divine and the diabolic, a narrative that transcends time to cast its shadow and light upon our present reality. It is a call to awareness, preparedness, and faithfulness in a world where spiritual forces wage war unseen. The trials and tribulations we face, the persecution that seems at times like a flood threatening to sweep us away, are all part of a larger cosmic battle. Yet within this tumult, there is an anchor of hope that steadies our souls, the unwavering protection and providence of God. The imagery of the dragon, the woman, and the ensuing conflict is not just allegorical, but a profound representation of the spiritual warfare that pervades the world. This passage, therefore, is not for the faint-hearted, but for those who are called to stand firm in their faith, recognizing that their strength comes not from within, but from above. The promise of God's protective wings, reminiscent of the Exodus story, is a powerful reminder that our journey through the wilderness of this world is guided and guarded by the Almighty. As we confront the reality of opposition, as the waves of persecution seek to erode our resolve, let us remember that the earth itself is on the side of the righteous, swallowing up the floods of adversity intended to destroy us. This is no mere poetic justice, but a testament to the fact that all creation is aligned with the purposes of its Creator, working in mysterious ways to secure the safety and perseverance of His people. The final verse, where the dragon turns his wrath towards the rest of the woman's offspring, expands the battlefield to include all who bear the name of Christ. This is not a mere historical recounting, but a present and future reality for every believer. In this, we find our commission to be vigilant, to uphold the truth, and to bear witness to the hope within us, even in the face of fierce opposition. Our adherence to the commandments of God and our testimony about Jesus Christ are not just acts of personal faith, but acts of rebellion against the forces of darkness. In the face of such daunting challenges, it would be easy to lose heart if not for the assurance that our victory is secured not by our might or merit, but through Him who overcame the world. Jesus Christ, the male child who was the target of the dragon's initial fury, has triumphed over the grave, disarming principalities and powers, making a public spectacle of them through His victory on the cross. In Him, we have the victory not as a future hope, but a present reality. Therefore, as we navigate the complexities and confrontations of our time, let us do so with the courage of those who know the end from the beginning. Our faith, our testimony, and our unwavering commitment to God's commandments illuminate the path through this world's darkness, guiding not just ourselves, but beckoning others towards the hope of eternal victory and peace. In this journey, we are not alone. For God's Spirit empowers us, His grace sustains us, and His promise of eternal dwelling awaits us. Let us move forward, then, with a faith that is unshakable, a hope that is unquenchable, and a love that is unstoppable, knowing that in every battle our victory is already won. Let this assurance fill our hearts with peace and our lives with purpose as we look forward to the day when war will be no more, and God's eternal kingdom will be all in all.